So again, my name is Sean, and tonight we're just going to be going over the pricing calculator and the mock-up creator in the Design Wizard, just to kind of get a feel for everybody's experience. Have we used the pricing calculator? Have we set up our own pricing? And have we attempted to add anything into our mock-ups yet? Is anyone else having trouble seeing my screen? Okay. Sean, if you still can't see anything, try just exiting and just come back in. Usually that will fix that issue. All right, so not too many people setting it up yet. So awesome. Hey, Carol from Detroit, welcome. All right, so in today's webinar, we're just going to be kind of going through the pricing calculators, because we kind of have two. One's just going to be the regular pricing calculator that's just going to give us a quick pricing on just pretty much the products that we'll have, so the vinyl or stones cost. And then advanced will incorporate all of our overhead, labor, plus our materials, so like our shirts, our vinyls, our stones, anything like that. And then we'll get into how to set your pricing on different types of vinyl, and then also how to add a specific color to these catalogs too. If you want to, maybe there's a product that we don't have that you want to add, I'll kind of show you how to do that as well. And then we'll go over adding custom items using the mock-up creator. All right. So at any point, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. And as I see those, I'll try to answer as many as possible. Hey, Carol, welcome. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of open up a live template just so we can use it as an example. So I'll use one of our DNA, and our nurse pack was pretty popular. So let's see which one we have. So we'll use this one here. No more blue screens. Let's hope not. All right, so with our design here, I'm just going to pretty much get it all cut ready, and then we're going to use it as our example for the pricing calculator. All right. So in this design, we have 3 different colors. We have kind of like a gray, a blue, and our red. So the first thing we have to do when we use our pricing calculator is use the color palettes that are on the Design Wizard. So if I'm setting up this design here, not sure. So what happened? Someone asked what happened with the text my. I didn't have it welded. I thought I grabbed all the blue text, but I just grabbed some of it. Where actually it's probably better to add the magic boundary here first, so we get it cut out like that, and then I'll weld it to the rest of the blue magic boundary. Well, we didn't get the blue screen, but it's freezing on me for some reason. Goes. All right, and then we'll add our boundary here. All right. So when we're working with our design, if I'm using the color palette over here on the right hand side, so I'll close down the wizard for a second. So if I'm using any of these extra color or just standard color palettes in Corel Draw, so we'll use the blue here, our gray, we can make that gray, and then our red, we'll use the red just like that. So open this back up. So if I highlight my design now and I left click my money sign, it's reading some of the last colors that was used, but you can see, well, or the blues here are close enough to the actual colors on the palette that they're still showing up. But you see how the gray's not, because that's not part, or that's not close enough to the silver. So in most cases, and I'm sure if we use like a weird color like that, and let's use maybe this lighter color, most of the time it might try to still use the last color, so you'll still see royal blue and red. Obviously with our color layout, those aren't the right color. So when we use these when we're trying to get a price on a design, we need to set it up using our color palettes on the design software or the design wizard. So the right hand side will be your vinyl, left hand side will be your stones. So if you decide you want to add stones to your design, we're going to use the stone colors as any of these color palettes here, or of course in the drop down, they're the same. All right, so our vinyl, if I left click the arrow up top here, it'll drop down to all of our different colors. Now you don't have this Caesar PSV. I actually added that as one of our examples. So that's why that's there. But everything else will be preloaded into the design wizard. And if you want to add anything else, I'll show you how to do that later on in the webinar. So depending on what type of vinyl you're using, let's say in this example, I'm going to use the glitter. So I'll select Caesar glitter and I'll turn that blue. We'll use red glitter here. And in this example, and we don't always have to use the same, so we could go to a holographic, or let's say, let's use the strip flock, and I'll use a gray for that. So now when I highlight my design, left click, it's going to give me the product cost on this design. So up top here, you'll see the dimensions, 9.5 wide by 9.3 inches tall. So it's going to tell us that too. So that's going to match up here. So when we're using the pricing calculator, we always want to adjust it to the actual size it's going to be on our t-shirt or whatever apparel or product that we're putting it on. So if this was maybe going on a tote bag, it could be 13 inches wide. So we'd want to adjust it to whatever size it's actually going to be on the finished product. So we'll go to 8.5. Left click the pricing. And again, it's going to show us each color. So royal blue glitter, red glitter, and then gray strip flock. So 26, $1.02, and then 85 cents for a total vinyl cost of $2.23. For a total cost of $2.23 because we don't have any stones. So if I had my design, and let's say go here, stone outline. So I added a nice quick row of stones just around my design. So you can see they're light pink. That's just because that was the color that was selected. So if I want to select all the light pink, I can make those red to highlight, or a blue, or maybe a crystal. So by choosing one of these colors, when we go back to our example, left click the money sign. Now you'll see total stones, 81, and we have 81 ruby maroon for a total price of 31. So it's going to add both of those together for a total price of $2.54. So this is going to help know, let us know exactly what we're going to have invested in this project before we ever, make that first cut. Now, everyone is going to buy vinyl at different pricing points. So just on our website alone, let me kind of pull that up just so I can give you an example. We'll go to vinyl and foil. And I'm already in the Caesar Easy Weed colors. So we can take an example, just our bright red. Oh, it's out of stock. So let's go to one that's in stock. Let's see how we are in lemon. Okay. So here, you can see our price points. So the more the quantity here, the more you buy, the cheaper it's going to get per foot. So if I'm buying, and this is how you can, easily, you don't have to sit there and do the math. You can kind of just use our website or whatever website you're purchasing from. Let's say, you know what, I got a lot to order, or I have a lot of the same, I use this lemon color a lot with the same design, or there's a local school that uses a lot of it. I'm going to buy a whole roll, so 150 feet. We'll add that to the cart. So it'll tell me right here, for a total of 158 feet, I'm paying $285. Right? Now, in this brick, for 1 foot, I'm paying $549. So it's a different material, but let's go ahead and we'll add just 1 foot too, just so you can see the difference in pricing. So go back here, cardinal red, add to cart. All right, so $325, or we're paying $1.90 per foot. So again, everyone's pricing point is going to be different. So when you first get the wizard, if we right click on this arrow with the vinyl, so the left click will show you all the vinyls so you can pick through them. A right click will give you the cost for each of your vinyls. So you'll see here we have Caesar Easy Weed. Now if I'm buying it at 15, now the width is in inches, the length is in feet. So when I buy 15 feet, it costs me about $36. Now this is a generic pricing. So now I could tell it I'm buying 150 for $285. Hit update. You'll see that update there. Hit save. And now if I was using my Easy Weed, I can make that blue there, that silver, red, highlight, and now you'll see how cheap I'm getting it per item. So I think we're close to like $250, so we're already down to $178 for the same design. So by adjusting all your price points to exactly kind of what you're paying for it, you'll get a better idea, or a more spot on pricing point for what you're exactly paying for your vinyl. Any questions? Yeah, so we just had, should you adjust price points for each project? No, I would try, if sometimes you buy, 10 feet at a time, or sometimes you buy maybe 50, you can always split the middle so you're not always adjusting this. Or if there's, maybe, to keep it, also what you can do too is just keep it at your highest price point. So let's say, maybe most of the time I buy 25 or 20 feet at a time. But this time I normally, I got 100 because it was on sale. Well, you can still use your normal price point because, that was on sale. You got a great deal on it, everything like that. You don't want to go and change everything because then you're going to have to change it back. So even though if it's not we're trying to get it as close as possible, but if it's a few cents off, I don't think it's probably worth the time to keep going back and forth. You can kind of be like, you know what, I got a saving on this last time. I might be able to adjust this price just a little bit, but I wouldn't if it's just a little bit we're talking about. Now, if you go from buying a foot or two at a time and then go all the way up to like 50 or 100, yeah, I'd probably adjust it for that. But if it's just, a few cents we're changing, then I wouldn't worry about it too much. All right. So same thing with adjusting the price points. If we ever want to add our own, you'll see this add/delete vinyl library. So up top here, I can click this. I can click to add the plus to add it to a new library. So I can just make my own up. So that's where you saw like the Caesar PH or PSV. So if there's a different type of vinyl, you're purchasing, or you just want to add a new color or anything like that, you can add that in here. Now we probably have that, but let's just say maybe Caesar stretch. Hit OK. The color will be on this wheel, or you can change it up here, whatever you prefer. So if you have the exact numbers for the CMYK, you can adjust that, or the RGB, whatever that might be. Or you can use the wheel to find something pretty close. You'll hit OK. You can name it here, so you could say Royal Blue Stretch. And I'm just making this up. So then I'm going to hit Add Color, Save, and then you'll see that added in here just like that. You can adjust the price points. So with, and let's just say $38. Update, save, and just like that. We can add it. So same thing with getting rid of. So with the advanced pricing calculator, it's going to work pretty much the same. So we'll change the color scheme up a little bit here. And now we're going to use, instead of a left click, we're going to right click for the advanced pricing calculator. So in this part, instead of just having the material costs, it's also going to set up or include our setup costs, any labor costs, any overhead, and also just like our t-shirt, our final material costs as well. Because before it's just counting pretty much just our vinyl and stones. Now it will include like our t-shirt, anything like that. We had a question. Is there a way to add Magic Flock and have the wizard price it in a design? So you could technically put like a box, add the Magic Flock as a cost, and add like a box around your design and include that in the cost. The reason we tend not to do that is because let's say you have a design or a template that is a decal and you're going to make that decal 50 times. So every time you make that design, it lowers its cost each time. So the initial cost might be, $5 to cut that Magic Flock template, but every time you use it, you're lowering the cost per use. So we tend not to count the magic flock too much. Now, if you had like a one-off where you know like you're probably never going to use that template again, then you can add it maybe as part of the setup design, or the design fee, anything like that, or just be like, this is a one time. I'm not going to get any use out of it. It'll be an additional 10 or 15. Just kind of make sure you're covering that cost of the material. But we tend not to do that just because after the more you use that template, it's kind of getting cheaper and cheaper per use. So great question. All right, so up top here you'll see a little drop down. So if you want, you can actually set up your own pricing breakdown. So let's say a good example is, well, let's run through this real quick. Let's say we have a standard setup design fee of $15. Our employee that's handling all of our designs is making $10 an hour, and we'll leave how many minutes did it take to set up at 0, because that's going to change per design. Has the setup time/design fee been prepaid? Most of the times it should be, so we're going to hit yes. Now, if you're not charging a setup and design fee, we usually recommend doing that just because you don't want to sit there and work on a design and then spend an hour or so working on it, and then them just kind of ghost you after that, anything like that. So that way, even if it's $10-15, you have something into this design where if they end up not going with it or something like that, the time you have invested, at least you have some money for that. And same with the rate of the employee handling the design or the designing. Even if it's just you and you're really not paying yourself or anything like that, you don't have necessarily employees, we always recommend putting some type of number in there. So when you do have an employee, or once you start paying yourself, all of a sudden you don't need to increase the shirt price or your apparel, your finished products, just to be able to pay yourself. So the retail, we'll leave that blank. Same with the discount, same with the blank cost. Employee production, the rate they're getting paid is going to be the same, $10. Minutes produced, we'll leave blank. Same with quantity being produced. Our overhead, that we can actually find out. If we have a storefront or an office, we should know exactly what it is. If we're working out of the house, you could take a percentage of your mortgage, your rent, electricity, everything like that, or your rent. So this is one of those areas where even if you don't necessarily have like a big overhead, you want to put something in there. So, as your overhead might increase, all of a sudden you don't have to really increase the price of your shirts or your finished products. So in this case, let's just say I'm working out of a spare room or garage, so I have a low overhead of $350 a month. And then how many products do you produce a month on average? That's going to change or be different for everybody. If let's say a school orders 500 decals that month, well, that's 500 products for that month. So it could be a big month, one for the beginning of school season, then get a little bit slower. So we're just trying to find that average. Let's just say, I'm kind of new, so I only get 50 products a month. Okay. So once I have this all set up, I'm going to hit the plus sign, and I can just name this basic pricing. Hit OK. And now that's going to be saved every time, so I don't have to sit there and fill all this out. So you can save some as maybe new customer, and maybe their setup design fee is $0 for their new customer fee. So you can kind of change it around if we want. You can have you can save as many as you'd like. So that way, you might have a loyal customer where they get always 10% off, and you'll see that here, discount provided to customer. So same with the first time customer, they might get 10% off. So you could save all these settings so you don't have to manually enter them each time. So on this design, let's close out of this highlighter design, right click, and it's weird. Oh, there we go. All right. So how many minutes did it take us to produce this? It was pretty much a ready to cut file. So didn't really take us any, but the customer doesn't know that. So we'll just say it was a quick 3-minute setup and design. We had to get it cut ready, add the stone, so 3 minutes. The retail price for this design. So this is where the pricing calculator is really going to help you as well, because some of the biggest questions, is always, what should we charge for this shirt? Stuff regarding to pricing out your finished product. So this retail price is great, or this advanced pricing calculator is great, because I can plug in any number into this retail price, and it's pretty much going to let me know if I'm charging too little, if I'm charging the right amount, or if I have wiggle room to go down. Maybe I'm charging too much and I can actually go down and undercut maybe a different competitor near me. So in this example, I'm going to lowball it at first, just so we can kind of see, and then maybe we'll go back and adjust the pricing. So let's just say we're going to do $14 a shirt. They're going to get, the whole nursing staff is going to get this, so they're going to order 20 of them. So I'm going to also do a 10% discount. They're just using a basic Gildan white t-shirt, and those cost $2.25 each. It took me, now it's going to ask how many minutes did it take to produce this product. So that's cutting, weeding, and pressing this design. So it's a 3-color plus the stone, so pretty much a 4-color press design. So it took me about 5 minutes per design to make this. Total quantity being produced, we said 20. So now I'm going to hit my price. So now it's going to add everything up for me. So again, my stone and vinyl costs will be right up top here. Now it's going to include our Gildan white shirt. So before we thought we were just under like $2 for this design, or just this shirt. Now with the shirt cost, we're just over $4. Now we get to our production. So with our material, labor, and overhead cost, now per shirt we're at $11.86. So we went from being under $2 with just our vinyl and stone costs to now with our labor, overhead, and material, we're at almost $12 a t-shirt. So again, I lowballed it just to kind of prove a point. We said we're going to charge them $14 with a 10% discount. So they're going to be charged $12.60 a shirt, which is now making less than $1 for this whole order. So it's going to take just under 2 hours to complete. And for that 2 hours of work, I'm going to profit $14.80. So before I ever ran through this or did this order, I would know that I would never charge $14 for these t-shirts. So instead of wasting all that time, it's going to show you exactly what we're, not exactly, but a good ballpark of what we're going to make on this order. So obviously $14.80 for almost, a little less than 2 hours of work, that's not going to fly. We don't want that. So we're going to hit close. We're going to right click this again. And now where it's the retail was $14, we're going to jump that all the way up to 22. All right. 14 was way, I was making, or let's say 23. So I'm still making $10 a shirt. All right. So now we're going to hit price. So now on that same order, instead of making $14, we're going to make $176. So that's great. For 2 hours, we're pretty much profiting $105 per hour, which is great numbers. So then I could even say, you know what, they're new, I want to, or maybe I'm new to the industry, I want to make a good connection with the community. I can lower this to $20 a shirt, or maybe 21s, so it gets to like 20 after the discount, and still make maybe 150, and I'm happy and they're happy. So the advanced pricing calculator is going to, really save you those, trust me, we've been there. We've all taken those orders where, we just want to get our foot in the door. Then we really, we spend hours and hours working on that project just to find out, wow, at the end, I almost lost money on this, so the advanced pricing calculator is going to help with all that. Any questions on the pricing calculator? Alright, so now we'll get into the mockup creator. Alright, so the mockup creator is going to allow us to add any type of product into the Design Wizard mockups. So just to kind of get a feel, have we added our own products yet, or are we just using maybe the presets that are already in the wizard? Presets, a lot of presets, not yet. Okay. So the presets are awesome. They're they're clothing that you'll see a lot in the industry. We set them up nicely too because they're color changing. So that's always nice. But there's going to be a time that you might have a specific T-shirt or uniform or maybe product, cup, mug, Yeti that we want to use. Our customer's going to want that we can actually put these designs right onto. So I'll do a quick example of kind of a basic Gildan t-shirt just so we can kind of get the idea of how to start these different products. So one thing with these designs is all of our t-shirts that we have preloaded in the software are pretty much color changing t-shirts. And the way we have to set those up is the item that we're using has to start as like a blank white t-shirt. So I think they're Raglan or something, I forget the name, but they'll have like the sleeves that might be the different colors and stuff like that, where the base might be white but the sleeves are a different color. That's still not going to work. We pretty much need it to be just a basic white product. So now that being said, if it has any different kind of color to it, we can still add those to the software. It's just not going to allow it to be a color changing mockup. So it's really not that big of a deal. Sometimes you'll actually want it to be the right color rather than a color changing. So in this example, I'm just going to Google. I'm just going to copy this image and bring it right into Corel, paste, and it's just going to drop it in just like that. So I'm just going to bring it down so it's into my workspace. So when we go to the Mockup Creator tab, we're pretty much just going to follow down through the different buttons, and that will lead us pretty much to our finished product. So the first two options we have are create an auto or create our manual inside contour. So we always want to try to create an auto boundary. That's going to save us a lot of time. Now, depending on the product, depending on the product and the shadows and the colors of the design that are kind of part of the t-shirt or product we're using, will depend on how well the auto boundary actually traces that object. We had a question: does higher res pics matter? So yeah, if possible, the cleaner the image, the better it's going to look on your mockup. If you have any, like, if you purchase any T-shirts from like Sanmar, Alpha Broder, any of those companies, you can get like actual high resolution images or product images from them. You can download them right from the site. So I would recommend that, or Google's a good place to go as well if there's like a specific item you're looking for. So we're going to select the design, and you can see right now that it has that white background on it. That's okay. That's part of the design, it's part of the image. So what we're going to do is hit create auto boundary. And you'll see this bar kind of go here. And for some reason it actually turned it to a color, but that's how the trace is actually looking that it just did. So because of like the shadows of my shirt, it actually didn't trace this the best because it, that's the line that it saw. So that's good in this example that it did that. So you kind of have a couple different choices. One, you can edit the nodes on this specific design here. So if you double click, you can see the nodes here, and I can kind of highlight that section of nodes, hit delete, and it'll clean this up pretty well for us. When we do that though, sometimes you can see now that it's actually not following the shirt perfectly. So if we do this option, you want to make sure you're editing it nicely and that it still follows the shirt pretty well. In this case, I probably would do a manual trace rather than try to go fix all this, just because, kind of like you saw here, once you go too much, now it's really not following the shirt like it should be. That's not too bad when I did it that way. Let's see if we can clean this up. So that's not too bad there. Now this part here, I'd obviously kind of want to get rid of those and bring this down. Here instead. So a little bit of editing, but it's not too bad. So we could fix the nodes like that, or we get rid of it. I go to my manual trace, I select B-spline, and I zoom in a little bit on the product, and I start by left clicking, and I continuously left click to drop those squares, which are called nodes. And when I'm tracing this, I always want to go to the inside of our apparel or product. That way it doesn't catch any of that white outside, anything like that. And that's why you'll actually see under manual tracer, it'll say create inside contour. Because if you do go really close to the edge at the end, you can just hit that create inside contour button, and it'll bring the contour in just a little bit. So if you get a little bit close to the edge or anything like that, don't worry, you can always hit that create inside contour. So we had another question: how do you zoom? What is the shortcut to zoom in and out? When you're in the B-spline, to zoom in and out, you actually have to stop and start the line. So I double click, that stops it. When I click back on it, you'll see how it actually highlights my line again. That lets me know that I selected my line. Once you're zoomed in to this point, you can't zoom in or zoom out. You kind of just have to stay at that zoom until you click again to stop it. Then I can zoom out. Now, when you're not using the B-spline to zoom in and out, you just have, I'm using the mouse wheel on the mouse. So when you have like where my pointer is, that's where it's going to zoom. So if my project, if I'm over here and I want to get to my shirt, I hold over here, zoom in, and it'll zoom in towards where your cursor is. So sometimes we'll see a lot where the mouse is over here, but your project is selected in the middle. But if you zoom in, now your project, you're not looking at where your project was. So it's always going to follow the mouse. Up top here too, if you're working inside this page and maybe you get lost and you can't get back to your design, if you highlight and drop this to page, it'll just go right back to that middle point. But this is really important when we're working with the B-spline. So can everybody see now, if I start my line, if I want to restart my line, if I left click on this line, you see all those nodes appeared? Those blue boxes? That's letting me know that I'm starting back on that line. So if you stop a line and you go to start it and you click, and notice how the only one that's lit up is the one I just started, that's because my line's not selected. So if you go through the rest of your design and connect it to this one here, well, that's not actually part of this line, and it's not like a closed object anymore. So when we do that, we need to make sure we click on that endpoint, that whole line's lit up, and now we'll finish just like that. So now we've finished our trace. So at this point, we're either, again, doing the auto trace. If it works well, we'll take it. If not, we'll do the manual trace, and if needed, we can hit create inside contour. So again, all that inside contour does is just shifts my line in just a little bit, so it helps get rid of any of that, bad detail on the end. All right. So the next two options we have to decide is, do we want this to be a color changing mockup or just a regular mockup that's not gonna, just the image mockup. So what you see is what you get. Now, the big rule is it has to start as like a white product. So we have our white t-shirt here. Then it allows me to make this a color changing mockup. So if this was a black Gildan or red Gildan orange, we wouldn't have the choice of a color changing mockup. We'd always just do cutout image mockup. Because we're starting with a white Gildan t-shirt, now I can either, if I just want that image, I would still do image mockup, but I'd most likely want to do a color changing mockup because now I can just do one mockup and have all my colors. So in this example, we're going to highlight everything. So what I mean by everything is your picture, or like the main image we started with, it's actually that box. So if I just select my t-shirt I just did, that's not actually selecting the t-shirt behind it. So make sure you highlight, everything, so when you move this, it grabs the t-shirt and that cutout or boundary we just made. Once we're done, once we have everything selected, we just hit cutout color change mockup. It's going to process here. And now it's going to give us just our t-shirt. So when it does this, you can check right away by hitting different colors, and you'll see that it is a color changing t-shirt now. Now, when I go to black, you can see it doesn't have a lot of detail. So if I right click the white, it will kind of give me more of that shadow. Sometimes you might have to like right click a gray to kind of give it a better look. But by right clicking an accent color, it will look a lot better. So once we cut out the color changing mockup, now we're deciding where we want the placement to go on this t-shirt. And what's nice is at this point, I could actually make a copy, bring it to a new page, and I can use this for multiple placements. So let's say on this one, I want to do a full front t-shirt. So where it has design width, I'm going to say I want 9.5 inches wide. So pretty much a full design layout. So I'm going to hit create design placement. Now this box right here if I look up top here, it only says 3.5 inches wide. Okay, that's fine. That doesn't, this number up top here does not need to match the design width that you put in this box. It knows when we select create design placement that this box represents 9.5 inches for our design. So if those numbers don't match, that's okay. And you can actually make this box smaller, and you're going to just place it wherever you want your design to show up on your t-shirt. So this is just a basic, I could add it in the boys, let's just say boys Gildan. And I put CC for color change. So I have that set up. I hit save custom product. Now here, if we want, we can add to a folder just like we did before, add new folder, edit, delete. So you can adjust all that if needed. I'm going to hit save custom product because I'm going to use the boys folder. It's going to kind of blink, and then it's going to give me product has been saved, boys, boy Gildan, CC front. So now if I go to my mockups, drop down's not working. So weird. For some reason my drop downs are frozen now. Might have something to do with the 5. I'm on the 5.9, so might just be an error with the 5.9. I'll have to look into that. But once we add it, it should just allow us to drop down. We'll select boys and it'll show up right in there. So let's see. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just trying to refresh it one time. It's still doing it. Well, let me drop that down now too. No, I'm on the 5.9 just as a trial, but that's kind of why we tested out, just because, like you see, obviously by me adding something kind of threw it off. So I'll usually run through the trials of it real quick just to see if anything's wrong like this before we release it. So you guys should still be on the 5.8. But while we have this with the mockup creator, let's say for this same design, I wanted a pocket t-shirt or pocket design. I could maybe make it 3 inches, hit create design placement. Again, it's going to be a big box. We would just resize this here or wherever pocket area we wanted. Now again, this is 0.7, not even an inch wide now. So that this knows that this is still looking for a 3-inch design to fill in this area. So all I would have to do there, name it Gildan, white, CC, pocket, save, and then it will just add it just like that. So it's doing everything right. It's just for some reason my drop downs aren't working. I might just have to restart Corel, but I'll check on that. But you shouldn't have any issues with that. I have the 5.5. So Sean, with that, if you go to the website and just download the newest one, it should be updated with the 5.8. If it's off the if you did it off the flash drive from the show, it just might have the older 5.5. But if you go to your order history on the site, and hit like view, I think, or see downloads, you'll be able to get the newest version there. To change the shirt color, once you create the mock-up, it will allow you to change the color. So you just click on it, and then you'll be able to change the color just like that. So I'm gonna see real quick. So it's still processing it. So that's weird that it's just not dropping down for some reason. So I'll have to check on that. But at this point, you could come in and just change any of the colors just like that. So any other questions on the mock-up creator? Yeah, when you start the design, or when you start like the process, like here when we grab the new shirt, we just had a question, do you just start on a blank page? Yeah, you can just bring it in here and then just drop it, copy and paste like that. That's the start of it. So Jamel, if you have an actual like design already, so let's say it's so weird, none of my extensions are working, of course. I can do it with text though. So let's just say we had a design, Wildcats. We have a design like that. So now, if I have my design, all I have to do is select the product I want, click on it, and it'll throw my design right onto my mock-up just like that. And then again, it's a color changing t-shirt. So we had a question, do you recommend doing mock-ups and putting them on Facebook, IG webpage, or actually cut and press designs, or mock-ups just to send as proof? So you can use mock-ups for, pretty much all those reasons. Some people will create a design like this and actually have like websites where people can shop from, so they need product images. So you could do it just like that. Or some will send as proofs. So, you're just being like, hey, this is what your design is going to look like on this type of t-shirt. You can show them the different vinyl colors and everything like that too. So it's used as proofs. It's used as order forms. So again, for some reason my drop down all my drop downs are frozen on me. So I'll have to reset it, but you can create order forms using the mock-ups, everything like that. Yeah, so we had a question, can you set watermarks on your mock-ups? Yeah, so you have a built-in watermark on your mock-ups too. So I did I think a webinar maybe 2 weeks ago on actually creating all the mock-ups. So if you search that on YouTube, it was free and everything too. If you search that, you'll see how to actually go through the whole process of creating actual mock-ups with the designs on them. So the watermark's just right here. Down here, you click this pencil. This is the area where you can set up your watermark text, your logo, your business name, and website. So when you create order forms, all that appears on your order form. So again, if you just search the newest mock-up one on our YouTube channel, you'll see me going through all of that as well. But if you just click watermark, it'll actually throw your watermark over your design just like that. The order forms are going to be right under Mockup Wizard and templates. When you drop that down, it'll say like 1 order form, 2 order form, 3 order form, or 3 product, 1 product, 2 product, 3 product, stuff like that. Yeah, so when you save, let's say another question we get a lot of times too is like how to save or export these files. So if I export you a file as a PDF, you can actually extract the design from it and use it yourself. So yeah, we have order forms front and back too. For some reason, yeah, I'm not sure what happened to my wizard right now, but it's not letting me show you the drop downs. But you can do front and back as well. The preloaded ones, actually, you can see how it has women's burnout shirt front over here. That's because you have the option of back too. But when we're saving these, we want to save them as PNGs or JPEGs. Pretty much any like file that's a photo. PDFs, I don't recommend, because if your customer has any knowledge of files or file types, they can actually maybe extract your design that you just created for them and bring it somewhere else and have them create it cheaper or something like that. So always try to save as or send as a PNG or JPEG, and that will help protect your designs as well. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. If you guys have any additional questions, please give us a call at 941-755-1696 or shoot us an email at info@therhinestoneworld.com. Later this week, we got another webinar. I have another one coming up Thursday evening. That's going to be on building our own live templates, or adding to existing live templates and clip art to kind of build our own new live templates. And then I believe Matt's going to have one on Friday. If you guys saw that football mom design he made yesterday in the YouTube live, I think it was, he's going to kind of break down some of those designs and show you how to create those. So some good premium webinars we have coming at the end of the week. And then I'm sure probably tomorrow night or another night this week we'll go live with like another design pack, something like that. So again, if there's any webinars you guys want to see that maybe we haven't covered, please let us know. I'm always looking for new ideas. If you want to see more on the mock-ups too, just send us an email, info@therhinestoneworld, and we can send you all those new ones, our most recent mock-up videos too. All right, guys, we have a great weekend or a great week, and hopefully we'll see you Thursday night. Have a good one.